You know.
We try to communicate things on Sunday mornings, but I know sometimes Sunday mornings will get crazy. And so Stephanie, forever worked with Next Gen, and God just, I was talking about this something last night again, but just this, I won't have time to go into all of it, but just the story of how God just really kind of lit a fire in her for data. Like, that must be God, right? When you're excited about data, it's got to be God. But so she officially serves our church as the CCB administrator, database manager. We don't have a really cool title, so we just call her awesome. But she, one of her roles is to help you. To help us know how to use CCB. It's a great tool, but I'll be the first to tell you it's a great tool and it's overwhelming at the same time because you just log in and go, what now? She's really good at it, and so I want to start doing this on a regular basis, just giving her time to share. She gets power to pick whatever feature she wants to talk about. So I think today she's talking about this new app that is available to leaders. And it's a great app if you've been using it. So if you have questions about CCB, she's your go-to person. Listen, if you have complaints, frustrations about CCB, we didn't write it. We did not write the app. We didn't build it, but we use it. And so it helps us. I tell our team all the time, I'm not afraid of negative feedback. It helps me get better. So, and we feel the same way. If you have complaints or frustrations, tell her so she can help. It would also help her know maybe each time we get together, well, a lot of people ask about this, we'll focus on this. So don't ever hold back. Always ask questions, and I'm going to go quiet now. Thanks.
Great. Well, you guys are all probably familiar with CCB, and in case you're not super familiar with it, it is our database system that has all of the information about all of our church members and visitors. But it also has a lot of functions that will help you guys as leaders to lead your teams better, to plan, to organize, and to communicate. Now, all of that being said, like Paul was saying, it can be overwhelming when you're looking at it on that web browser, or if you're trying to use your phone to log into the direct website. They do have a new mobile view, but even the mobile view has its limitations. So one of the ways that they have tried to kind of better the interface, the way we interact with things, is by improving what was once called the Small Group Leader app. Now, if you had downloaded the Small Group Leader app before, you could see your groups, you could message within your groups, and do some like basic kind of housekeeping things within your groups, take attendance, that sort of thing. What they have done is they've actually expanded this, and they've changed it from the Small Group Leader app to an app now called Lead. So if you have the Small Group Leader app and you're like, oh, where did it go? If you updated your phone, it probably says Lead now, and it looks a little something like that, bottom one there. So cool thing about this app too is that when you download it, you can actually put in a fingerprint ID. So you'll open it up, and then people still can't, like if somebody snatches your phone, they can't get into it unless you have your fingerprint. You can also turn that feature off, no big deal. But one thing to know about this app is that it is designed specifically for leaders, not for just regular planted members. So you have to, in order to be able to log into the app, you could download the app, but then once you got in there, it wouldn't let you log in unless you have a certain set of permissions, which are, if you're a group leader, you have access to this, no problem. If you are a position leader, schedule organizer, needs coordinator, if you have any kind of administrative access that allows you to work deeper within the groups other than just messaging, then you are able to use this Lead app. And so, whoops, I'm going back here. All right, here we go. So once you've downloaded the app and logged in, which it logs in with your regular credentials that you use for CCB, username and password, you'll see that there are several different buttons here along the bottom of the screen. You've got people, groups, queues, notes, and settings. So start off with the simple one. Settings is literally just your name, and then if you want your Touch ID on. So it's not very exciting. But it's there in case you ever want to turn that Touch ID on or off. Then you've got the people. Now this is really interesting. This is an upgrade from the small group leader app. You actually can search anyone in our database system that is active. So if there's anyone that you're trying to find, you can, find their name. You can actually search. So let's look for me. And it will pull up all of the potential Stephanies, and of course I'm last. And so then it will actually pull you into that person's profile, and here you can view their family information, you can call them, you can text them, or you can email them. If they have, I'm sorry? Or find their location.
You can stalk them.
You can stalk them. So, if you were to click on this is actually a really cool thing. If you have an address listed in your profile, this will actually take you and get you directions to wherever that is. So you can effectively stalk all of your people. That's where I live. All right.
So that's gonna be the most used feature, like a Sunday morning, like, they can't show up and serve.
So that'll just make communicating a little bit easier. You can also actually edit people's profile information. So say you're a community group leader and somebody tells you, oh, my phone number changed. Now, you can also say, hey, why don't you go update that in CCB, but if you know that they're not going to do that and you want to make sure that everything's taken care of right there, at the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can hit the little edit button, and then there you can actually edit all of their information. And you can even update information on families too. So spouse, female, married, all that is my personal information. Apply last name to all family members, all of that fun stuff. And then you have your contact information, and that's where you would update the phone number, let's say mailing address, apply to all family members. This little thing here would be really cool. So if somebody says, hey, we just moved and this is our new address, you could go into one person's profile, change the information, hit apply to all family members, and it's taken care of for every single person on the profile. So that's fun. Features with people. Yes, sir.
Is that live update?
Yes.
And that's for everybody?
Yes. Yeah, so don't go willy-nilly. But
Just a quick guess. I might do yours real quick.
so yeah, but that is something that will be. But yeah, so that is something that is reflected automatically once you update it in the profile or in the app.
So be good leaders.
Yes. Please be responsible with your editing. Then you have groups. So when you log into the app, it automatically pulls you into your group view. And so any group that you have access to, so if you're a small group leader or community group leader, then your group will be listed here. You will also see any group that you are a part of, but not the leader of as a leader in the church. So, I am not a leader of the entire church group. I am a member. So you can see up there at the top it says entire church group. It does show the group, and then it shows that I'm a member. I could click into that group, and because of all of the permissions that I have, I could actually take attendance, I could send a message, I could view the members of the group, I could send a group text to everybody who has their text messaging set up through CCD. You could also send needs, and then this is a really cool thing. They have special days, and this is going to be really, really cool for anybody who leads a ministry team or a community group. You can just click on those special days, and everyone who's in the group, it's going to show you their birthday, their anniversary, anything that's set up in the system. So it would be really cool to keep track of, if you have a community group meeting and somebody has a birthday coming up and you wanted to have a cupcake or something for that person, you don't even have to ask them. It's already here if their birthday's in the system. Which is another reason why it's really important to try to make sure that everyone that you have contact with has information in the system. So anyone on your team, anyone in your in your community group, you want to make sure that they are all uploaded here, because the more information that we have inside the system, the better off we are going to be able to reach out to them and connect with them and make sure that they are seen and touched in all the various ways that that they need. So that's fun with special days. You can also, let's see, with attendance, this is a really cool feature. So for any of you guys who have been needing to take attendance, what we've had to do in the past, unless you had the small group leader app, you would have to actually log into CCB and then manually take attendance by entering into the event and all that. So here, instead you can just go into your group. So if we go back to the group file or group page, you could just, select one. I'm going to do the praise team. This is one that I actually do the scheduling for. And so here we've got attendance, and we could take attendance for practice. You can select the practice, or the event. It would be the event in this case, is a practice. And then you can actually, let's see, okay, this is a terrible one to do. Hold on a second. Let me find a different one. Because I have a schedule in there, it already automatically shows okay, if these people said that they were coming, then it automatically takes them down as attending. Oh, hello, thank you. So let's see, all leaders meeting. Let's do this one. This will be fun.
I just took it.
Okay. You just took attendance?
I just did it.
Okay, so say you go into your group, you go into attendance, and then here, under the all leader meeting, we could actually see the number of people. And because you just took it, of course, let's see. All right, so here it would take you into this view where actually all of the people who should be in attendance for the group show up, and then you just check off who's there. You can add the number of visitors, which is very similar to what they ask you to do on the desktop view, like the people who maybe they were visiting your group, but they weren't actually a member of your group in CCB. You would just put the number of visitors, and then you would check off all of the other people. Did I just hit select all? I'm worried.
Oh, just hit cancel, you're good.
Okay, that's true. Okay, well now I just unchecked everybody, so this is great, yeah. So anyway, you go through, you select the people that you want
with my group.
Again, this is what, you have to be responsible when you're pushing up buttons. So you can go through, take attendance, hit next, and then it would ask, you could save it at that point. So I'm just gonna hit
As
cancel.
long as you don't save it, it should stay.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. So I hit cancel instead of next. So then at that point, you can also add event notes. When you hit next, it'll take you into another screen that'll allow you to enter notes and that sort of thing. Praise and prayer, and then email summary, that's all the same stuff that you would see on the attendance screen in the actual CCB site, but it's just in a very user-friendly, easily clickable kind of thing here. The next feature that we can talk about are queues. Now, this is talking about process queues. So I'm not sure how familiar most people are with process queues, but essentially anything that you do that you would want to automate. So for instance, I know with Discover the Gathering, they've been working with some process queues. And so anytime that, they have a form where you can go and sign up for Discover the Gathering, you can actually automate anyone who fills out that form to funnel into a process queue that signs them up for the class, adds them to the event, sends them an email asking them whatever information or welcoming them to the group, telling them about the class. And then as they attend the class, they can get kicked into another queue within the process that sends them a thank you email or however, whatever they want, so that way it's not one person having to individually send everything. So if there's a process that you have, like something that you do the same way every time, visitation, or first time visitors, VIG, would be really interesting with that. So if there's an email or a card or something like that you sent out, you could potentially use a process queue. Well, and that's another thing.
Selected to certain people?
Yes, you have to have special permissions to do a lot of these different little things. So anything that you can currently do on CCB, you'll be able to do in the app. But if you end up, say you don't have access to process queues right now, but you would like to, then we could get together, I could give you those permissions, and we could work together to set up your process queue so it works the best way for you. So anyway, there's not a whole lot to show because there aren't a ton of process queues that are in play right now. But that's a really interesting feature that they've very recently added to the app, within the last 2 weeks they've added this. So it's going to be really cool to manage, because when you do have a process queue, there are times where you do have to manually say that this person attended or something like that, so then you'll be able to do that through this app instead of having to log into the system. And then we have notes. So notes, it's basically any kind of note that you would see on someone's profile. If you've got a note that is either created by you, shared with me. Those are the two kind of notes that you'll see there. I have a ton of notes about emails that bounce back because I'm the master administrator, and that's like the vast majority of the emails that I get, or notes that I get, is that somebody's email's not working.
So I have a question. Under the notes section, so whenever the First Impressions administrators go in for the connection cards, and on some of the connection cards, there's a note section, and they'll a lot of times ask for prayer. And we put that in, that will show up here, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
If you create it, yes.
Okay,
If you
okay.
create it, it'll be there.
It will also give you an option of who you want to see that note.
Okay.
Where,
Okay,
That's that shared with me, yeah, so essentially, so if you created a note and shared it with somebody on your team, when that person on your team would come in here, whoops, excuse me, that's what they would see, is they would see a note that you shared with them.
okay.
So, but anything that you create or someone shares with you, you can view here.
Because the prayer requests on those connection cards would be excellent to have here if people are utilizing it, so they would know what to pray for those folks, and other than just
Yeah, they show up.
administration. Okay,
Absolutely. So we can definitely dive into that a little more if you want.
okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Huh?
You should refresh that.
Yeah, and so you pull down to refresh things.
I can't wait to see the next note.
Thanks,
works.
Bill. It works, yay.
You can add notes there, can't you?
And yes, you can. That was the next thing I was gonna talk about, is up in the right-hand corner, you see the little plus sign, you can actually add a note directly right here within the app. So the idea behind this is essentially to give you access while you're out and about with people, because that's all we do is with people. Sometimes it's really hard to kind of document what we are doing with people, what people are sharing with us and all that sort of stuff when we're in like face-to-face with them. And this app basically takes the most used pieces and puts them in your hand instead of making you have to actually sign on to get to your stuff. One thing that they do not have on this that I am putting in feature requests for, basically until they do it, is scheduling. Because scheduling, I personally feel, would be amazing to have on here, but unfortunately there are no scheduling capabilities with this at this time. Though there is the needs function, so like there's a difference between schedules and needs. And like with the praise team, we use the schedules instead of the needs, because schedules, like, we're able to really tell, like, this is how many people we need, and we know who's going to fill those slots, as opposed to like asking, like, hey, we need somebody to bring, 30 muffins or whatever, who wants to sign up to bring 10 muffins. Yes, so like there's a lot of ways that you can use all the different functions, and all of that stuff, the needs, go away, thank you. That's all within the groups. So again, if you're looking at the groups, you can take attendance, you could send group messages, which that's one thing, let me just jump over to that really quick before I wrap up here. With the group messages, you can see all group messages, and you can see the threads that are, anybody who responds to those messages, you can actually see within the group. The only thing that you can't do with the messages is you can't reply to a message in the thread. So that's kind of a hiccup there that I'm not too thrilled with. But so say like, okay, here's Paul sent out this email to the All Leaders group, and so we can see that one person, Mel, responded, and so we can read those, but we can't respond to those. But you can start a brand new group message right here within the app that you can send out to all people. You can also select if it's leaders only versus all group participants. You do your subject and message just like you normally would on the app.
What does that add comment button do?
I'm sorry?
When you open up a message,
Respond to the main message, not the rest.
the add comment button.
Oh, down here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you can, oh, look at that.
You can-
Just kidding, you can respond to a message in the thread. But I think this actually replies to everybody and not just directly to that person. So be prepared if you're going to send a comment in the thread. But so you can add a comment there. Thank you, Jerry, for your
Just
eyeballs.
noticed
So you can add a comment there and then post that using the post button to the right there. So that's basically the main points of the app. You got people, groups, queues, notes. I can help you get set up if you don't have the app. It does work with Android and iPhone, though they work a little differently depending on your operating system. but I'm prepared to help anyone with any type of phone. So, so anyway, yeah, so that's really there for you to try to make your life easier as you take attendance, as you take notes on interactions that you have with people, and finding, information about your people as well.
I just want to throw in a plug that this app is absolutely amazing if you're not already using it. If you're not already using it, you need to use it. It's a great app.
And everything that we enter into the system allows me to actually help you. So like when we're talking about attendance, I know taking attendance can be kind of annoying sometimes, or it's like the easy thing to forget. But if you're a community group leader and you are taking attendance regularly, I can actually pull reports to show you who hasn't shown up in a while. So like if you got, sometimes it's easy to remember like, hey, exactly. So sometimes you don't realize when somebody hasn't been there for a week or two, but like once it gets to be 6 weeks, you're like, oh man, I haven't seen so-and-so in forever. And then at that point, they might already feel like, oh, well, they forgot about me, like how long it took me.
You know how amazing it would be if there was some way we could do our church member attendance on there so that we would know who hasn't come? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Cece hasn't been in a while, and I didn't notice for a while, and I should have noticed that. So that would be amazing if there was some way that we could be able to, because you get so busy, you know? Yeah, it would be amazing to have
Well,
something like that in place.
this is not
As
about
hard as it would
CCB,
be.
but one of the best ways to do that is honestly, if our church is made up of community groups, then you know as a community group leader and host, if you saw your community group at church.
Yeah,
That's the best way to do it. Now, we have to figure out a way to take care of people who aren't plugged into community groups.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if every group took care of their group, that would take care of a large portion of our church, and if I talk to somebody and they're like, well, I've been gone for 4 weeks and nobody said anything, my first question, when I say, man, I hate that. Are you in a community group? It's my first question. Well, no. Well, that's one way that you can get
Yeah.
connected and people they'll know that you're gone. Because I love everybody in our church, but from the platform I see are lights. Right?
Yeah.
It's really hard. But I do get in the car and I'm like, you can ask Wendy, most of my Sundays just like, I love all of y'all that come, but I'm just like, man, I missed. So I try to, but I'm one person.
yeah, and I try to use Facebook for that too,
Yeah.
to reach out once I realize somebody's not there, I know they're on Facebook. Also try to use Facebook for that, but I don't know, that's probably a little far-fetched, but it's maybe something to think about later in the future.
Well, and even, so we can't go into all this now, but like process cues, right? I took attendance this morning right there while she was talking. That's what the app allows you to do. I could never have logged into the mobile version, which is not a mobile version of that site. It's just too hard to do, but it took me 30 seconds. So you could actually have a process queue. I'm saying this as if I think you can. You corrected me if I'm wrong. But you could have a process queue as a group leader that on a Sunday morning, if you knew that Chase didn't show up, you could actually put him in a process queue and send him an email saying, we miss you today at church.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that sitting there while you should be listening to me. You could do that, and that's what
Well,
you
and
do in
sometimes though, while
process queues.
we're listening to you is when we realize it,
Right.
and then if we don't do it right then, if you're like me, when you get home, you've forgotten.
But the process queue would allow you to do it right then.
Right.
So anyway, that was great. I have a feature request.
Oh,
Yes, so I want you to send in a feature request that the group leaders should have access to their calendar in the evening.
yes. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Because I don't know why, that's a no-brainer, but it's not, you can't do anything with the calendars. I know Craig had a question too, didn't he?
Oh, we figured it out.
Okay. You're like, oh, it's 11 million, I don't care what they say, it's 11 million.
That's what we said.
Yeah.
Does it do any push notifications on the app?
It does, but I'm not sure which
Or
features
what? Like,
actually. Yeah, that's what I'm,
Messages or notes or?
and that is what I'm unsure of, I think, because I know it doesn't send push notifications like for attendance, so if you haven't taken attendance, it's not really gonna tell you, you won't notice that until you
Well,
actually log in.
I think messages go through email, right?
Did you?
Yeah,
Well, depending if you do text message, if you do it as a text message, or
Just a regular message goes through email.
So I don't think you get any notifications on the actual app, right?
I'll have to-
Because if your messages go through email, your text messages go through text.
I don't think they go through.
I'll double check into that, but yeah, you do, like, even if there's not push notifications, they're right in that you're either gonna get an email or a text message anyway, so you'll get some kind of notification.
Got it. Got it.
Just make sure you check your email.
Yeah, check your emails.
Everybody say thanks to Stephanie.